Hello again, class 3. How are you? Are you fine? I hope you are doing well and stay safe at home. Okay? And please don't forget to wash your hands every time. So, class 3, listen to me. Today we are going to complete our previous lesson. And previously, let me remind you shortly. Previously, we talked about there was and there were. Okay? But we talked about affirmative, it means positive form. So today we are going to study about negative and question form. Okay? Negative and question. On negative, you have to bring not and put it on there was, there were. Okay, this is the long form and that will be short form. There wasn't, there weren't. There wasn't with the singular things, there weren't with the plural things or plural nouns. Okay, so now let's practice. First, let me read this for you. Okay, there was and there were are the past simple forms of there is and there are. We talked about that. There were is followed by a number or some. Okay, some. So you can use some only with there were because some, when you talk about something, it should be plural. There wasn't plus uncountable noun is followed by any. If we have there wasn't, okay, if we have there wasn't plus uncountable noun like what? Like sugar, like water, okay? For example, like milk, the liquid things, okay? Those things that you can count them. So they are uncountable noun. We talked about uncountable noun clearly. I remember that. Okay. So there wasn't plus uncountable. Countable noun is followed by any. There wasn't plus countable noun. Countable nouns like pencil, like marker, like cartoon, like camera, like whiteboard, door, something like that. Those things that you can count them. Okay. So it's followed by a or an. Okay. A with those nouns, which they are countable and they didn't start with vowel sounds, okay? Like a banana, a book, a car, a door, a marker, a teacher, okay? But and with those things which they are countable, but how? Which countable? Those things which they start with vowel sounds, okay? This noun which they start with vowel sound, like an orange, okay? An aubergine. We can't say an orange. Okay, you have to say an orange, an aubergine, an owl, an octopus, for example, or a number. After there weren't, we use any or a number. Look at these examples. There was a big park near here. We have there was, so it means it's positive. But this sentence, there wasn't a bus stop outside. Wasn't, you see, there was changed to wasn't. We changed it to negative form. We brought this not and we put it on the verb to be, which is was here. Okay, so there wasn't a bus stop outside. Okay, and this example, there were some old cars in the museum. There were some old cars. There weren't any computers. You see the differences between these two sentences. So there were, it's the positive with the plural noun. That's why we used some. Okay, cars, you see, cars is a plural noun. That's why, because we have their way. So with their way, we should use plural noun. Okay, and there weren't any computers. If we have negative form of there were, it means if we have there weren't with plural nouns, you have to say any computers, or you can add number. For example, there weren't 10 computers, there weren't 20 computers, or you can say there weren't any computers. So any, you have to use it with there weren't, okay? There weren't, or instead of any, you can use the number of that thing, okay? Now stay with me because we are going to practice with an example. So now, Guliman, let's practice with this example. Pay attention very well. I'll explain for you. Here we have two papers, okay? We have orange paper and we have blue paper. We have an orange paper and we have a blue paper. On the orange paper, there's only a pen. You see, I used there is because it's present time. I'm going to speak right now. So, there is a pen, but on the blue paper, there's a candle. This is candle, okay? There is a candle. If you talk about there was and there were in the positive, in the affirmative form, you will say in this way. من بون منايك القطابية كاني كلاسي سێکان ئەنێرم بۆ ژوورەکەی خۆم ئەڵم بچۆ لەسەر کاغەزە پرتەقاڵیەکە باشە بزانە مارکەرێکی لێ بۆم بێنە بەس ئەوە مارکەر نییە یوسی تۆی تۆڵی تیچە ئاشنا on the orange paper I will be past time تۆ ئەو کاتی کە ئەڕۆی توێ تۆ ئەبێ بە past باشە so ئەڵێ چی you'll say in this way ئەڵێ تیچە ئاشنا there was a pen on the orange paper there was a pen on the orange paper there wasn't a marker on the orange paper you see I used affirmative and negative form there was a pen on the orange paper but there wasn't a marker or any marker on the orange paper باشا قولي من and if you look at the blue paper there's a candle if I say in the positive way I'm going to say there was a candle on the blue paper there was a candle on the blue paper okay but there wasn't any pen or there wasn't a pen on the blue paper look is there any pen here no من یەکی لە قوتابیەکان ئەنێرم لێم تێکەچێ ئەڵم بچۆ لەسەر کاغەزە پرتەقاڵیەکە کاندڵێکم بۆ بێنە لەسەر کاغەزە شینەکەش پێنێکم بۆ بێنە تۆ بۆ ژوورەکەی من ئەحەپەسێڵی خوای گیانەمە چییە تیچ ئاشنا بە عەکسەوە پێوتم تۆڵە تیچ ئاشنا on the blue paper there wasn't a pen or there wasn't any pen باشە گوڵی من but and on the orange paper there was a pen there wasn't any candle okay there was a pen there wasn't any candle and on the blue paper there was a candle there wasn't any pen or a pen why we used there was because we have a singular thing one pen and one candle that's why I used there was okay and that's about there was so there was a pen on the orange paper but there wasn't a candle and also there was a candle on the blue paper but there wasn't a pen you see the difference between there was and there wasn't there was it means positive أشتكليتي there wasn't لينيا نم أشتلبنيا باشا وجودينيا it's not exist there okay and now let's practice with there were and there weren't so now gulakanam let's practice about there were and there weren't both of them there were and there weren't you have to use them in past time it means something that happened before now and we will talk about that thing that happened before okay again we have the orange paper and the blue paper but this time they are different how the number of the things which they are on the orange paper and the blue paper they change from 1 pen to 4 pens and from 1 candle to 5 candles you see so at this time we can't use there was or there wasn't because they are plural 4 pens and 5 candles or some pens and some candles so we can use there was and there weren't there wasn't so we should use there were and there weren't there were with the positive form and there weren't with the negative form how again بۆ نمونە وەکو نمونەکەی پێشوو من یەکی لە قوتابیەکان ئەنێرم ئەڵم بچۆ لەسەر کاغەزە پرتەقاڵیەکە کاندڵەکانم بۆ بێنە باشە ئەوە چە سێرەکە لەسەر کاغەزە پرتەقاڵەکە هیچ کاندڵێکی لە نییە یەتۆڵە چیەڵە تیچ ئاشنا there weren't any candles on the orange paper but there were some pens on the orange paper you see there weren't any candles but there were some pens or 4 pens you can see the number instead of some okay لجاتي some أتوين number كيبلي there were 4 pens on the orange paper but there weren't you see this cross غلط there weren't any candles on the orange paper بهمان شيوا ألم برو لسر كاخس شيناكا تشين بوبنا just go bring some pens on the blue paper okay تو هي سيركي أليتشي oh my god okay يتولي تيجي عشنا there weren't any pens on the blue paper but there were some candles on the blue paper so there weren't any pens do you see any pen here no there's not any pen so you have to say there weren't any pens on the blue paper but there were some candles on the blue paper or there were 5 candles you can say the number of the candles right there were 5 candles but there weren't any candle you see with there weren't you have any candles so you have to use any with there weren't and the noun should be plural again so there weren't any candles okay on the orange paper. I mean, there weren't any candles on the orange paper, and there weren't any pens on the blue paper. But there were some candles on the blue paper, and there were some pens on the orange paper. So now, dear students, let's practice more about there wasn't and there weren't. There was with singular things that they are not exist, it means in the negative form. There weren't with those things they are plural and they are not exist. Here we have two examples. Okay? First example, let me explain for you. For example, I asked someone, I told that person, okay, to go to bring a ball which is next to the tree. I told him there is a ball next to the tree, just go bring it for me, okay? And when that person go to bring a ball, and when he looks, see, look at, there's not any ball. So when he'll come back to me and he'll say to me, there wasn't a ball next to the tree. Do you see any ball? No. So you can say there wasn't a ball next to the tree, or you can say there wasn't any ball. So a ball or any ball. Why we use this article a? Because ball it start with consonant sound. Okay? Agar orange boy amanu an orange. Agar owl boy amanu an owl. But here we have ball. Ball is start with consonant sound, so we'll say a ball. Or you can say there wasn't any ball. Any it means hiç. Başa? Ya ala hiç topeki lenebu ya ala topeki lenebu. So as I mentioned before, wasn't with the singular noun. You see, we have a ball. It's a singular noun. So there wasn't a ball next to the tree. It means there wasn't any ball next to the tree. Okay, the ball wasn't exist. Water hiç leve nabwa. If you look at the picture, okay, there wasn't a ball next to the tree. Look at it. This period of time or that period of time will be past time. Past time. That's why when he came back to me, he will say there wasn't a ball next to the tree. Past time. Second example. Here there's a box, but the box is really empty. There's not anything in the box. Okay? So I asked someone to go to bring some balloons, which is inside the box. When that person comes back to me, he'll say there weren't any balloons in the box. There weren't. We use there weren't because we have balloons. Look at the noun. It's plural. We have s on it, so it will be plural noun. So with the plural nouns, you have to use weren't. Why weren't? Look at the picture. There weren't. It's empty. So it will be negative at this time, and you'll say there weren't any balloons in the box. Why we use any? So any. But I just go bring 5 balloons for me. There weren't 5 balloons in the box. Okay? But at this time, you'll say there weren't any balloons. Also, any you can use it with the singular. It means with wasn't and weren't. Okay? But the noun should be plural again. And that's about there wasn't and there weren't. So now, let's practice, or let me give you your homework for next time.
There was, there were. This video is going to tell you how to use there was or there were that is very similar to the there is, there are video. First, check the vocabulary, the meaning of there was, there were. It means the same as there is and there are, but in the past, and we use them in the same way we use there is, there are, but to refer to it in the past. We use there was when there was only one thing. For example, there was one person on the street yesterday. There was one tree in the garden last week. We use there were when there were more than one thing. For example, there were 2 cars on the road last night. There were 10 tables in the classroom last month. When we want to say something that is uncountable, like water, gasoline, sand, pollution, money, salt, sugar, fire, music, art, electricity, oil, furniture, milk, everything, something, nothing, anything, everybody, somebody, anybody, nobody, we use there was. For example, there was water on the table. There was money in my wallet. There was something on my bed. Now let's see how we make the negatives. As there was or there were has a verb to be, we just make the verb to be in negative. Look at the examples. There wasn't a cat in my house. There weren't windows in my bedroom. Now let's see the questions. As we have the verb to be, we just put the verb to be at the beginning of the sentence. Was there a ball in the garden yesterday? Were there good restaurants in your town last year? Remember that we can use the quantitatives like some, any, much, many, a lot of with this verb, just as we did for the verb in the present tense. If you don't remember, please go back to the lesson to review it because you need to know this grammar perfectly to pass the exercises.
Lovely students, pay attention. It is time to give you your homework. Guliman, on page 81 on the workbook, look, write there was, there were, there wasn't, or there weren't. We have this exercise you have to do. It will be your homework. We have two pictures. On first picture it's written 7 o'clock and on the other picture it's written 10 o'clock. And we have 8 sentences. You have to use there was, there were, there wasn't, and there were. It depends on the pictures. Pay attention. It's mentioned about time, or he mentioned about time here. And also move to the grammar book. On the grammar book, page 55. Guliman, page 55. Pay attention. We have these two exercises. First exercise says, look at the table about a town in England, true or false, write T or F. Here we have two tables and we have 5 sentences. You have to write down T or F if it's true or false. And you have to work on these two tables, okay? Don't forget. And also, we have this exercise. Look at the table in exercise 1. It means write sentences about the town in the past using there was a, there were, there wasn't a, or there weren't any. باشا قوليمن هاوت ما نقل weren't any بكار إمش بهمان شو واي كردو. So you have to complete these sentences to make a correct sentence and pay attention about the tables. قوليمن, that's all for this lesson. Okay, stay at home and stay safe yourself. Goodbye.